Welcome to the Misfit Squad podcast,
where we invite you to embrace your difference and to discover a spectrum of possibilities and change what's wrong about you into what is strong about you.
Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of the Misfit Squad podcast. I'm your host.
She is your hope too.
I'm your host, Kim Lucian, and this is
Trina Rice. We are the Misfits.
Clearly.
As you can see.
So today we're talking about, what are we talking about?
Today we are actually talking about communication and
Right.
how we communicate and different ways of communicating.
Right.
So typically, and when people talk about communication, they're talking about like how we're communicating with you right now through words, using words to express ourselves. But there's lots of other communication out there. There are not only communication through like sign language, through like icons, through the use of like images, but there's also communication like non-verbally through like our gestures, like or like that's communication.
That's the dog getting under the table.
Because Rufus always wants to be in the shows.
Yeah, see, there's our nose.
So we also have like nonverbal. We also have nonverbal communication, which is like through gestures or even through facial expressions. Like, like someone's like frowning or like totally happy, whatever. Then there's also communication energetically. So how much have you ever taken a moment to acknowledge how much you communicate energetically?
Right, because we've talked in previous shows about how energy is actually our first language. We talk in energy really primarily before we really even talk in words. And most people are talking in energy and talking in words, and they're totally incongruent. And then we're confused because they're like being one thing and saying another thing, and we're aware.
But we're going to talk more about that later.
Oh, we're going to talk about that later. Apparently I'm doing the wrong show.
She is a misfit. She's like in the future and too far ahead.
Yeah, sorry.
Don't mind her.
So we're talking about energetic communication.
We're talking about energetic communication. And one way that we do that is by thinking in pictures. But that's only just one. So,
right. So I want to say something about this because, so you've all heard, a lot of you, this is the dog, sorry. A lot of you have actually heard about like thinking in pictures, and like if you're, interested in animal stuff, like clearly I am because the dog's in my lap. Right. People talk about the way that you communicate with animals is by thinking in pictures, right? You send them pictures of whatever conversation you want to be having with them, right? And so the thing is that is one way, right? But like, I don't really do pictures or get pictures. So I was always like, I don't know how to think in pictures. So what is that? Thinking in pictures.
well, one thing is like Temple Grandin a lot of times says that she sees things in a lot of images or things in pictures. That is one form of the communication that we're talking about. So like if somebody says, go get your shoes, like not only the picture of the, like maybe the tennis shoes that you're going to go put on comes into your head, but the picture of every kind of single shoe that you've ever seen at a store or online or in a magazine. It's like a Rolodex. It's like, and it like rolls through your head like that. Did you get that sound? It's a Rolodex.
It doesn't happen like that for me.
Oh,
just
but no, I'm not saying it does. It doesn't happen
Right.
for me like that
Yeah.
either. But that is one thing that does occur with some people.
Right.
But they get images like that of everything. Like, so if you say a dog, you don't get just a picture of what Rufus looks like. You get a picture of like all these dogs.
She's over there doing something weird.
So anyway, sometimes people do that when they think in pictures, they can deliver a picture. So one way when I'm working with kids that are on the spectrum who are nonverbal and don't have a lot of ways to express, they have tons of ways to express, but they don't have the words to use. Like I can send an image, but it's not just an image. It really is like giving them a whole movie reel of like what's going on. So I'm like, okay, you're going to get up in the morning. You're going to go eat your breakfast. You're going to go brush your teeth. You're going to go change your clothes. You're going to get your books, put them in your backpack. You're going to put your backpack on. You're going to go walk out the door. You're going to go to the bus stop. You're going to wait for the bus. You're going to go to school. But I don't give a picture of each one of those steps. It's like super fast, like you're watching a really fast movie and it just goes. But when you give that as an image, a lot of times that's way faster than words.
Right. And again, for those of you who are less like that and more like me or something else, that is also still something that basically I just was like, it doesn't work like that for me. I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. I don't even know what that is. And so for me, what I sort of came to was that also words have energy. The words that we use for things are important. The word has an energy. And that's another part of the confusion when people use a certain word and then the energies are incongruent. So for me, what I figured out is that the way thinking in pictures works for me is that I still use the words. So I use the words and the energy of the words, and I still sort of like say them out loud, not always, but calling up the energy of the words communicates the pictures, even though I don't like see the pictures in my mind. Right.
Which is typically what also occurs, because you can say something and like Kim said, that word carries a frequency of energy, and then you perceive that frequency of energy and that forms into whatever how that relates to you.
Right, exactly.
So I actually am more like that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the times when like you can use an image and deliver the image of something and the word that goes with it. You know, it's kind of like a dual, like, here you go.
Right. And so just to circle back to something important, I think, is you said that like doing the whole imagery of whatever, using the pictures communicates way faster, right? And that's one of the, for those of you who have kids who are for sure on the spectrum, who have been diagnosed, who maybe are verbal or not verbal, one of the reasons that that is a method of communication that works really well for them is because it's practically instantaneous. And the truth is for most of those kids, we're like wading through molasses in slow motion. And they're like, you are so slow, I can't deal. Right? So communicating with them in pictures, right, is like that.
Much
and
faster.
So that works for them because they're not like, basically, if we're just blah, blah, but they're like so slow. They're like, you're so slow, I stopped listening to you like 5 hours ago.
Yeah, it's
right?
it's like if any of you know from way back, like Charlie Brown.
Like
his teacher was always like, that's what it sounds like when we talk to a lot of these kids on the spectrum. All they hear is and they're like, what? But they also, because they've already gotten it and they're super fast. So it's a combination of things. It's knowing that we communicate through energy and being aware of that and how fast energy is, because words are energy, but you almost have to slow it down to attach that specific energetic signature of the word to that energy to deliver the picture. So that's why just being the energy of something, and then sharing that, an image may come up or it may not come up.
Right.
But it's looking at how aware you really are of the energies and how much communication happens. So like as an example, like going to the refrigerator, and you might have a kid who they're thirsty and they want orange juice.
Mm-hmm.
And you might say, hey Freddie, would you like to get some orange juice? And he already answered you that I want orange juice, which just hints, one, why you got up from the couch, walked over to the refrigerator, and number two, you're opening up and
saying
you already know
orange juice.
And you already know that the orange juice is sitting on the first shelf in the refrigerator, and you're like, why are you asking me if I want orange juice? I already told you I want orange juice. And so it happens that fast, and then you think you're not listening. But how else did you know that, oh, maybe Freddie's thirsty. Maybe I should go to the refrigerator and see if there's something he wants to drink. Oh, maybe he wants orange juice. That's all that whole process that happens so fast when you don't acknowledge it.
Right.
So.
Right. And so for me, like the thing that really changed with that, because I just was like, I don't know what these people are talking about. Like I said, I don't think in pictures, I can't do this. Really finally starting to say like, okay, well, so what's my version of this, right? How does this work for me? Because it works that way for someone else. So with that, like, just how does it work for you? What does thinking in pictures work like for you? Even really like, what does communicating an energy work like for you? Start paying attention to that and asking, how does this work for me?
Yes. And how do you and when do you apply it? Because like Kim works a lot with animals, like with horses.
Yep.
Even goats and
Sheep, miniature horses. What else do we have over there?
yeah.
Cows. We have some cows sometimes.
And so in order to communicate what's required, you have to energetically put that out there.
Mm-hmm.
And they pick that up on however they pick it up. So we're all energy, like we said.
Yep. So think in pictures, talk in pictures.
Yeah.
Talk in energy. How does that work for you?
Yeah, talking
does
energy.
that look
How
like
does
for
that
you?
work? And play with it.
Yeah.
Like play with it. Like if you are with somebody who maybe has limited words or maybe is nonverbal, or just play with it with somebody with normal communication and actually send a picture. Like say somebody has like high anxiety, send a picture of what it's like to have peace and calm, or what it's like to be outside in nature where there's not as much judgment and there's peace and calm. And then how will that show up?
Yeah.
Just play with it this week and see how you communicate with energy.
Yep. So that's another episode of the Misfit Squad podcast. We'll see you next week. Same time, same channel.
Thank you guys. Thanks
See you
for
later.
watching. See
Bye.
you soon.
Thank you for listening to the show.
Our target is to make your awareness easy to use and to acknowledge the power of not fitting in.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe to our channel on YouTube and share it with someone you know.
Why fit in when you were born to stand out?
Embrace your difference. Join the Misfit Squad.